Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Dare County May 4th Board of Commissioners meeting. At this time, I'd like to call forward Reverend Gay Morris for an invocation. Reverend Morris, thank you for being here.
Thank you and good morning. I'm honored to invite you to join in prayer as we gather on this beautiful morning on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Algonquian and Iroquoian tribal peoples who hunted and fished along the ocean waters from Corolla to Hatteras, and who farmed and lived in the forested sound side of the Outer Banks. And we pray this morning in the presence of the holy and infinite source of love, mercy, justice, and compassion. God of many names, move in us as we care for and about this county, that it may be more perfectly a place for all to live and work in safety and loving kindness. Work through us in justice to remember those in our community who are voiceless. May we help each other to make a reality of the possibilities we dream about for our children and our families, to do our best to create a nurturing community where all can live and grow, to practice truth as we know it, and to serve with wisdom. May we be the ones who make it so. Blessed be. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Got a full house this morning. I'd like to recognize a few folks before we get started. Hope I don't overlook anyone, but Board of Education board member Justin Bateman's here with us this morning. Justin, thank you for being here. We're honored to have Wynn Bridges, our former NCDOT rep, working with us in Dare for so many years. He's retired now, but Wynn, thank you for being here. And we also have with us this morning President COA, Jack Bagwell. I would let you know, but my good friend Rob Ross is not able to be with us today. He's under the weather today, so he's not able to be with us. So with that being said, County Manager, I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Item 1 on the agenda is the chairman's opening remarks.
Okay, I just have a few things to go over. Most of you know I like to start with a little humor. I heard about this young man. He was a huge football fan. He bought 2 tickets to the Super Bowl months ahead of time, not realizing, and this is typical of men, that it was going to be on the same day of his wedding. He paid $2,000 for each of the tickets. So he put an ad on Facebook asking if anyone would like to go in his place. He said it will be at 3 o'clock at First Baptist Church, and her name is Tiffany. Typical man. I just like to share a few DARE statistics with you. We recently at a trustee meeting at COA. Some 359 students attended COA DARE in the fall 2025. That's a 34% increase in DARE over the past 3 years. So things are really, really going well. And we've given out 410 DARE Guarantee scholarships for 2024 2025, totaling $357,000. So the DARE guarantee is working, board, and I can't thank you enough for that. NCDOT, I want to give Tess Judge, who is our new NCDOT region representative for us. She's been working very closely with the county manager and myself. As you know, we're dealing with multiple issues on NC-12, and in the next 2 days, we have a number of the whole board of transportation and the governor's office representative will be here, and we're hosting them. We'll be taking a bus trip starting tomorrow morning all the way down NC-12, showing them all the hot spots. We're going over to Ocracoke, share the concerns over there. So the next 2 days, we'll be working with the NCDOT reps, working again to continue to find securing issues to secure ingress and egress on NC-12. And so stay tuned for that. This is a first, and we're excited to have those board members here. They need to see it firsthand, what we're dealing with. The next item I'd like to have is I'd like to ask the president of COA, Jack Bagwell, to come forward. He'd like to make an announcement for you folks.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for having me today. Commissioners, thank you for your continuing support of COA DARE. Mr. Alton, thank you for your continuing support and partnership that we have down here at COA DARE. One of the things that's been high on our list of priorities since Dean Sweeney announced his retirement was getting a new dean for the COA DARE campus, and we have that person in place. Dr. Gina Southall, we had a little meet and greet for her a couple of days ago. Some of you came out. Thank you for coming out and meeting her. And those who you couldn't make it, I wanted you to see her in person. So I'm going to invite her to the podium, let her tell a little bit about herself. But I wanted to thank you for your support. Thank you for all that the partnership has brought to this community and to the college. And please know that we appreciate it. Those statistics are important, but remember that every one of those statistics as a person, as a student, is a transformed life. The motto of community college is transformation, but the community college that we run, College of the Albemarle, believes that we can transform the tomorrow, and when one student is transformed, the trajectory of their family is transformed and changed forever. And our latest team member to help do that is Dr. Gina Southall. Gina has been with us before as an English faculty member. She's gone off and done other things and come back to us. So I'm going to let her introduce herself to you, and then we're going to get out of your way unless you have questions for us. Dr. Southall.
Good morning. Thank you all for letting me be here today. I'm Dr. Gina Southall, and I'm starting week 4 of my role as Dean at COA DARE. I have been in education for almost 30 years. I don't like to say that out loud, but here we are. And spent some time in the high school classroom, but most of my time in higher education, the bulk of my career as a faculty member and administrator in teacher education, primarily at Longwood University in Farmville, Virginia, where I proudly grew up. My husband and I have lived here in Dare County for the past 5 years, and am so excited to have the opportunity to be the dean at COA DARE. I spent quite a bit of my childhood at meetings like this with my father, who was a lifelong multi-role service career politician in Prince Edward County, Virginia. So I know it's important at these meetings to be sincere, to be transparent, and to be brief. So that's exactly what I will do. Just in my past 4 weeks, almost 4 weeks at COA, I've just noticed the commitment that COA faculty, COA staff, and the community to have to DARE and its students. And I look forward to continuing that commitment, to continuing the already successful partnerships and working with you all. This is an amazing community, as Dr. Bagwell already said, that offers so many incredible opportunities for students, for workforce development, and for community development. So I look forward to a long partnership with you all, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Southall.
Unless you have questions for us, we'll get out of the way. Thank you all for the time.
Thank you. That completes my chairman's comments. I would like to ask the board to amend the agenda and move item 9 to item 4B.
So moved.
There's a motion on the floor by the vice chair to do so. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner. Huh? Pardon? Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. County Manager?
So, Mr. Chairman, that brings us to item 2 on the agenda. That's the presentation of our service pins. Today, we have 90 days of service with 3 people. So that's unusual to have 3 30-year pins in the same meeting. Our first one is Charlotte Midget. Charlotte Midget, will you please come forward to receive your 30-year pin from Spencer Gregory?
We got to go first, huh? Okay. That's unbelievable. 3 30-year pins. That's awesome. I keep thinking I have a wedding ring in my pocket. I don't want to lose this thing. I just got, but here you go. I'm going to take it out of my pocket before I lose it. There you go. It's an honor to be able to present Charlotte with her 30-year pin, celebrating 30 years of dedicated service to Dare County. Current and former coworkers and family are all here to celebrate your tremendous accomplishment. Could I get the family to stand up just to, because they're all part of this too with 30 years. And our grandkids are here who you'll get to spend a lot of time with. Charlotte was hired in 1996 as a program coordinator. In 1997, she was promoted to activity specialist in Parks and Recreation. And then in 2003, she was promoted to leisure program supervisor, where she is today. Having a public service position like Charlotte's is extremely difficult. Pleasing all the user groups and the public that use all the Northern Beach facilities is impossible, but Charlotte comes pretty close. If you haven't been by the youth center at around 3:30 in the afternoon, when a quarter of First Flight Middle School comes across the street to unwind after school, it is quite the sight. Or how about 5:30 p.m. when Rec Park is packed with cars, people, and practices using the facilities? I'd venture to say that Family Rec Park and Nags Head Soccer Complex are the 2 most visited Dare County facilities we have. I'd also venture to say it's not slowing down at all. Other facilities Charlotte has managed during her tenure include Kitty Hawk Park, First Flight Athletic Complex, and Kitty Hawk Elementary baseball fields. When you think of Parks and Recreation, especially the Northern Beach Division, you think of Charlotte Midget. In 30 years, she has been part of the building of the Dare County Youth Center, Kitty Hawk Park, Nags Head Soccer Complex, First Flight Middle School athletic renovation. Under Charlotte's direction, we have seen the Northern Beach programming grow to extraordinary levels, including soccer, basketball, gymnastics, volleyball, pickleball, summer camps, and after-school programs. Charlotte was the driving force that created the Easter Extravaganza Spring event and Family Fun Park that takes place each July at Rec Park to celebrate Parks and Recreation Month, and our week-long adventure camp that we take 15 to 20 middle school youth to camp in the mountains in Virginia. Needless to say, Charlotte has been here since the beginning and is going to be really difficult to replace. She announced her retirement effective later this month, so we are excited for what the future holds for Charlotte, as she will be successful in whatever she does. Charlotte has a special relationship with her staff. and also a lot of her staff's here today too, and all of our team is here. Charlotte has a special relationship with her staff and also the after-school youth. The after-school girls look up to her, and if you have ever visited the youth center, you will see the connection she has with them. After school, they all pile into her office and talk about any and everything that happened at school that day. The staff at Rec Park, including Charlotte, serve as mentors to the youth that visit the after school each day. Charlotte has been a big advocate of keeping girls active and engaged in Parks and Rec programming. Charlotte and I have worked closely over the last 25 years. We bounce ideas off each other and have been through a lot over our time together at Parks and Rec. One thing I remember about working with Charlotte is that she always puts the kids first. Every decision she has made and strives to make our programming better every year. We're going to miss her resolve, creativeness, experience, her laugh, and her ribbings. One thing you might not know about Charlotte is that she's an office prankster. Many years ago, when we worked in the same office, she used to love to pull one over on me. I'm an easy target, I guess, but yeah. Well, now that you're retiring, I thought I'd get you something.
Oh, boy. 25 years caught up to me. Yeah, right.
You can't hit me with this.
Okay.
Now we're even. Charlotte, we wish you nothing but the best, and thank you for your 30 years of dedicated service.
Dorothy didn't put her phone on silent.
Next, if Thomas Tillett would come forward to receive his 30-year pin from Jonathan DeWeese.
Good morning, sir. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to recognize Thomas Ryan Tillett today and present him with his 30-year service pin. Let me start by saying he doesn't go by Thomas. Everyone calls him Bud. Bud is a Dare County native, and more specifically, a Mans Harbor native, where he's lived his whole life except for several years when he lived in Terrell County. But Dare County lost a coin toss, and had to take him back. Bud is a very avid duck hunter and fisherman. Bud is the supervisor of the Dare County landfill, transfer station, and dirt pit. This is a very involved job with many moving parts. Bud has to wear many hats on a daily basis. Some of these include supervisor, equipment operator, field mechanic, truck driver, and even life coaching. If you have a problem, Bud can solve it. I've had the pleasure of working with Bud for 15 years. We've had many ups and downs, which we always seem to get through. He's been my right-hand man at the landfill since I took the role in his current position in 2018. Bud is old school. He will stay until the job is done. Although he'll grumble a little, he'll stay. He knows what is expected out of his position, and he's willing and capable of doing any task that he assigns. Bud recently had a knee replacement on April the 9th, and he's been recovering for the past several weeks. He has worried about it for months. He even called when leaving the hospital to check on everything at the landfill and to let us know how he was. I've never seen anyone so anxious to get back to work. He'd never admit it publicly, but he really loves his job. He even tried to get the doctors to release him on light duty after 2 weeks. That didn't work. I know Lori is hopeful for the next doctor's appointment to get the release. 30 years, that's a long time, even for someone old as Bud. It's quite an accomplishment, and it certainly deserves recognition. Bud and I joke, kid, and pick on each other nonstop. But in all seriousness, I would like to thank Bud for his service, his dedication, and his friendship. We hope to have Bud for several more years before he thinks about retirement, but time will tell. Congratulations, Bud.
And next, if Daniel Lee will come forward to receive his 30-year pin from Shanna Fulmer.
Good morning.
Good morning and welcome.
They save the best for last, Daniel. Yeah. In 1996, Daniel was 19 years old and working for a local car dealership. A friend of his was working for Dare County and suggested that Daniel apply, which he did, and here we are 30 years later. So at 19, Daniel didn't bring a lot of experience with him. But what he did have was willingness to observe and learn from seasoned mechanics. Daniel proved to be an exceptional student and as a result, a pretty good mechanic. Dare County Fleet Maintenance maintains over 700 vehicles, which include ambulances, sheriff's vehicles, large duty trucks, as well as small vehicles. Daniel has worked on all of them in one capacity or another. Tasks include routine maintenance such as oil changes and state inspections. And he, through the years, has taken on more sophisticated tasks such as diagnosing computer issues, engine failures, and minor body work. In March of 2021, Daniel became the fleet maintenance supervisor, and I believe he truly shines in this role. Taking on more responsibilities was an easy leap for him, as evidenced by the following comments from his coworkers. Daniel is very straightforward and honest, also super easy to talk to. Daniel is a great leader. He is fair and leads with respect, setting a strong example for coworkers and people outside of work. Congratulations on 30 years of service. It's a pleasure working under your guidance daily. Daniel is one of the most approachable supervisors I have worked with. He listens and understands what common goals we are trying to achieve. His calm demeanor helps make the job easier, even when things don't go as planned. Keeping a level head, even in stressful moments, helps the job get done with the least stress possible. He has been nothing short of a good teammate. Daniel is always pleasant to be around. I don't know who said that, but I'm going to have to find that out. A good guy and a great father. Daniel always has a positive disposition. He is always very, very respectful and encouraging and has the willingness to help anyone with anything at any time. He is a very good friend and coworker. Daniel has helped me so much through the years. He was instrumental to me learning the ropes. Over the years, he has proven to be honest and trustworthy friend time and time again. Congrats to him on 30 years. And I didn't realize it till I saw his family sitting here, but every single one of his immediate family has worked for Dare County. His mom, his dad, and his sister. So this is a local family that has dedicated service to Dare County. So for 30 years, I want to congratulate you, and I want to thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Chairman, our Employee of the Month could not be here today, so we'll do that next month. Before we move to public comment, those of you that just received an award, if you'll go right out through this door so that we can get a picture, please.
No one signed up. Hey, Bobby.
the time that's been set aside for public comment. If you have public comment this morning and you've not signed up, please raise your hand. When you do, I'll recognize you. Then come forward, state your name, where you're from. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. There's a green light on the podium that'll come on when your time begins. There's a yellow light that will come on when you have about a minute left. And when the red light comes on, please conclude your comments. I have no sign-ups. Is there anyone here that would like to speak at public comment this morning? Seeing no hands, is there any public comment from Buxton?
Yes, we have one comment from Brian Harris.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome, Brian.
Hey, good morning, guys. I guess no public comments is usually a good sign of where things are. I just came here today just to tell you of all the positives we have going on. We had the RAB meeting last week. The Army Corps of Engineers has completed some major progress. They've removed 8 million pounds of concrete pipes and rebar, 400,000 gallons of contaminated water. You know, I can't think enough of what Colonel Sturgeon and his Savannah District crew has done over the last 6 months down here. The beach looks really good. I think we're finally turning the page on that. Byway Conference we attended 2 weeks ago. Buxton Civic Association. Heather and I were one of the presenters, along with Mary Ellen. And things are really changing down here for the better. I just wanted to thank you guys enough and just give Colonel Sturgeon that nod of appreciation from Buxton. So that's all I got. And we're looking forward to a good summer, getting this beach nourishment underway. The beach is making progress every week. And thank you guys for all the help and everything you guys have done.
Thank you, Brian.
With that, Mr. Chairman, we would close the public comment, and then we moved to item 9 on the agenda. That would be next. That's a Health and Human Services Public Health Division opioid settlement funds proposal plan for fiscal year 2027, and we have Sheila Davies and Wally Overman here for that presentation.
Good morning. And sorry, Matt might need a moment to rearrange the slides. So while we're getting the slides up, we come before you, or the Saving Lives Task Force representatives, typically the chair and co-chair. I'm not that, but I'm filling in today for Katie, who's not available. And of course, we have the other co-chair, Mr. Wally Overman. Each year we come before you to share the updates and prepare for the fiscal year 27 allocation for the opioid settlement funds. So we come to you in May to go over the process of the recommendations, how we reach the recommendations, and prepare for the June meeting where we'll bring really our current Governor Stein for being instrumental in pulling this together with the work group. But there's a $26 billion agreement that was reached in litigation, basically to kind of assess for damages that have been done, and then also place significant changes in the industry in the way that they are addressing opioids and what contributed to the opioid crisis. Of that settlement, $750 million was allocated to North Carolina, reaching the 100 counties and then 17 municipalities who signed on to that lawsuit. 85% of those funds are going to local governments. The specifications for the memorandums of agreement that were reached and how these funds can be used, they break into 3 categories: treatment, recovery, support, and harm reduction. So any way these funds are used, whether it's in the counties or municipalities, have to fall under these 3 categories for distribution. Dare County's share of the opioid settlement fund is roughly 6.4 million, spread over 18 years. And this started back in 2023, so we're here now updating you on the allocation for 2027. The Dare County Board of Commissioners determined that they would like the Saving Lives Task Force to be the entity that comes up with the spending plan each year, which is why we're before you this year, and they've been doing that since 2023. I will take a moment to just share the accolades to Wally. It was Roxana before, and now Katie and the Saving Lives Task Force. Dare County, and Bobby, I'll thank you as well for being instrumental in just how this rolled out. Dare County is far ahead of so many other counties in how they're organized, distributing, and getting the money into the local communities. There's several counties that are still struggling with how to do this. And because of the structure of the Saving Lives Task Force and your decision to have them be the entity that analyzes and evaluates and works with the community on how best to utilize these funds, we've been able in Dare County to see the benefit of this funding almost immediately working in the community, whereas, again, some of our counties across North Carolina who didn't have a structure in place are still really trying to figure out what the structure is. So to determine each year how best to utilize these funds, the process that the Saving Lives Task Force uses, they start out with doing a community survey. Then they take the data from that survey to the Saving Lives Task Force to vet the information, come up with recommendations. Ultimately, the board of the Saving Lives Task Force puts together the proposal. They share it with the Saving Lives Task Force board, and then you all as the Board of Commissioners. So this year for the survey that was conducted, they had 140 respondents. The survey was open from January 13th to January 28th. To complete the survey, individuals must be vested in the community in some way, so either living, working, or worshiping in Dare County. This slide just tells you a breakdown of who responded to the survey. Most of the individuals either worked in the community in some fashion of substance abuse or working with individuals who are dealing with opioids, or they know someone personally who is either has or are using opioids. And then a small number had a personal experience. So the survey was open to anyone, but most people disclosed where they fell within their relationship to opioids. These next few slides talk about the priorities, how the survey respondents prioritized their recommendations for using the funds. 90% of those that responded said that using the funds for substance use treatment and aftercare was a good use of the funds. 89% said that supporting services for treatment for locally incarcerated individuals was a good use of the funds. 81% thought that peer support specialist was a good use of the funding. 81% also thought that recovery court, investing and continuing to invest in recovery court was a good use of funds. 75% support the outreach and education and public awareness, using that funding to continue the prevention work that's associated with that. And 72% said it's a good use of funds to invest in social determinants of health. These are the factors, whether it's housing, whether it's transportation, whether it's clothing, just basic needs to support those who are battling opioids, that this is a good use of the funds. And 70% said investing in naloxone and fentanyl testing strips and xylazine testing strips. So these are also harm reduction type methods, and 70% support using the funds for that. The respondents, the different categories that I went over, 86 of the respondents of the 150 provided strategy recommendations or comments related to feedback. Those responses were categorized into multiple areas, including the criminal justice population, looking at rehab and sober living facilities, prevention education, treatment, holistic supports, self-help and support groups, and social determinants of health. The feedback that was received under the criminal justice population, they commented that we have really strong programs in the jails and courts, and really wanted to see continued focus on reentry coordination and counseling. Under treatment, strong support was indicated in the feedback for focusing on counseling and group treatment for individuals with opioid addiction, making sure that the treatment involves evidence-based treatment, and being able to address co-occurring, so mental health and substance abuse under treatment. We talked about social determinants of health, looking at supporting housing support, education and job placement programs, and non-faith-based housing options and programs. Under prevention and education, comments were related to increased support for prevention and youth. So using those funds to make sure that we're getting the message out for youth for harm reduction and prevention. Providing mental health support for adults and children, and really trying to tap into that community and belonging for youth to bolster resiliency. And under rehab programs, sober living and facilities and supports, feedback related to supporting groups, having support groups for families, encouraging sober events, wraparound services, and supporting rehabs, residential treatment, and sober living facilities. So the Saving Lives Task Force took this feedback, took the comments, took the data, and put together the recommendation for this year, for the fiscal year 27 funding plan. And Wally Overman is going to go over that those recommendations.
Thanks, Sheila. The Saving, as has been mentioned, Saving Lives Task Force Board met, and I will say that Commissioner Bateman is a member of that board, and we're glad to have him. He provides us with a lot of good, solid input. $6.4 million is a lot of money, but there's never enough. And we have to try to judiciously put this money where we think it best goes, and that is why the survey is irreplaceable in that regard. So going through the numbers, $71,459 will go to peer support services, $110,000 to recovery court, which, by the way, as Irvin can tell you, is doing an absolutely fantastic job for Dare County. $49,429 for social determinants of health, $65,000 for Dare County Detention Center, and $60,000 for treatment. There is an additional, we have about $36,000 in undesignated fund balance, and these numbers do not include the McKinsey funding, which is a separate pot altogether. Upon your approval today, we will return in June with a resolution to this effect. I want to thank Delreen Segat, DHHS Finance, for her tremendous help in us putting this together, getting these numbers put together and making it work out. We're trying to extend the total funding that we're getting through these 18 years, and always hopeful that we're going to get additional, but we base upon what we have and what we know we're going to get. So that's why we work with the numbers we got, and to thank Sheila for her unwavering leadership for the Dare County Task Force in any regard that we go to her with. So those are the numbers. Okay. And we would ask for your approval.
Does the board have any questions? Hearing none, then, is there a motion to approve the proposed opioid settlement plan for fiscal year 2027?
I'll make that motion.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Bateman. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Then the floor is open for further discussion. Hearing none, then those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you
all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chairman, that brings us to item 5 on the agenda. Item 5 is the Governor's Award for Volunteer Services, and Shannon Glazer is here for those presentations.
Good morning.
Good morning, ladies.
How are you doing?
It's any better? I couldn't stand it.
Excuse me?
I said, it's any better? I couldn't stand it.
I'm the Friends of Youth Program Coordinator, and this is Grace Topping. She is our new program assistant, just started with us in March. We are the local facilitators for the Governor's Award, and we had a very difficult time this year. We had 25 nominations.
Wow.
That is the most that I can remember. And they did something a little different this year. In previous years, all of the counties were able to submit 10 nominees, and they switched it to 5 this year. So we had to take that 25 down to 5. It was very, very hard. So I will call up our 5 Dare County Award winners and read a little bit from their nominations. First, we have Becca Herrick. Becca was nominated for the award by Major Brandon Henderson with the Camden County Sheriff's Office in recognition of her services to citizens across Dare County and surrounding communities with Lights of Christmas. According to her nominator, Becca is the driving force behind Lights of Christmas, a community-based organization dedicated to ensuring that families in need experience dignity, stability, and hope during the holiday season. Through her leadership, the organization provides thousands of donated gifts and essential support to children and families who might otherwise go without. A defining component of this effort is the organization's coordination of gift deliveries conducted by Santa Claus, escorted by law enforcement, fire and rescue personnel, and EMS agencies throughout Dare, Currituck, and Camden counties each year. These escorted deliveries ensure gifts are delivered safely and respectfully while fostering meaningful, positive interactions between first responders and the communities that they serve. For many recipients, this is their only direct engagement with public safety professionals in a non-emergency setting, leaving a lasting and positive impression. Ms. Herrick coordinates volunteers, manages donations, partners with public safety agencies and community organizations, and ensures resources are distributed fairly, respectfully, and without stigma. This is not a short-term or symbolic effort. It is sustained service, requiring months of planning, coordination, and personal investment each year. She leads quietly, works tirelessly, and places the needs of others ahead of their own. Her efforts strengthen the social fabric of the region and reflect the highest standards of volunteerism, compassion, and civic responsibility. In every respect, Becca Herrick exemplifies the values this award was created to honor: service before self, dedication to those in need, and leadership through action. Next, we have R.D. Price. I did not get the memo for the overalls. You guys should have told me in advance. R.D. Price was nominated for the award by Stumpy Point Volunteer Fire Department President Phil York, who highlighted the many different roles Price has played throughout his extensive volunteer service with the fire department over the course of nearly 3 decades. According to his nominator, for more than 28 years, R.D. Pops Price has served the volunteer fire department and the Stumpy Point Village in many forms, from fire chief, engineer, training officer, leader, recruiter, fundraiser, protector, and many more. R.D. is always available to direct and advise the power company, Tideland Electric, as to where the power line is down or where the transformer is on fire, saving them time and searching for the problem. He is always aware of citizens being out of town so as to protect their homes from harm. He supports the village with vast medical knowledge when on fire department calls, as well as medical history needed for the EMS personnel coming to our village. As he continued his comments, York commented on the role that Price's wealth of knowledge and experience earned throughout his dedicated service to the U.S. Navy plays when responding to calls for service, and the way he routinely shares this incredible skill set with his fellow community members in a variety of positive and impactful ways. R.D. has served our community with his vast knowledge of water safety, from his Navy and other on-the-water experiences to simply teaching residents how to sail or operate their vessels. There are so many examples that only the people directly affected know about, but one major example is RD was on site daily throughout the 2 years of building our fire department building some years ago. If the citizens of Stumpy Point Village have a need, Pops is the man to call. Now we have Joanne Mathis. We have a representative.
Hey, Shannon.
Hi.
Joanne couldn't be here today. She's with her grandchild in Texas, and she asked if one of the staff members of Island Farm could come in her place, so I'm here for her.
Joanne Mathis was nominated for the award by Jane Bailey for her dedication to preserving the culture and history of Roanoke Island and Dare County through her work caring for and educating the public about historic and heritage livestock at the Island Farm on Roanoke Island. According to her nominator, Joanne works closely with Island Farm's livestock staff to care for the site's historic and heritage breeds. She tends to a flock of 5 sheep that are vital to the farm's historic interpretation and visitor experience. Joanne's responsibilities have included everything from maintaining pastures and removing invasive species to coordinating with other livestock volunteers and socializing the sheep so they can safely and comfortably interact with visitors. In addition to providing quality care to an assortment of animals at Island Farm, Mathis also plays an instrumental role in ensuring one of the most popular events hosted by the nonprofit organization, the Pumpkin Patch, each year is a huge success. During this event, now in its 14th year, she serves as the primary point of contact for visitor information and manages the point of sale operations for pumpkin sales. Joanne volunteers an average of 20 hours per month, increasing to up to 40 hours per week during the Pumpkin Patch. Her support allows Island Farm to run 2 point-of-sale systems at separate locations across the 16-acre site, increasing the farm's donation and revenue capacity. Joanne's contributions help preserve the heritage of the Outer Banks and inspires the next generation of environmental and cultural stewards. She is an invaluable asset to the community, combining public outreach, educational engagement, and dedicated animal care. Joanne brings with her a bubbly and exuberant atmosphere to her time at the farm. Her initiative and the level of responsibility she carries put her in a class all of her own. Whether facing a sick lamb, clearing a downed tree from a pasture, or welcoming more than 100 guests, Joanne approaches every challenge with energy and resolve. Her demeanor always saying, "I got this, what's next?" Next, we have Patricia Gale. No, Patricia Gale? Oh, there she is. Funny story, I have not met Patricia Gale, but then last week I volunteered with Special Olympics and we were side by side volunteering at the same time. Patricia Gale was nominated by Holly Rittenberry for her work as a volunteer for Manio Elementary School, Water Life Thrift Store, the Dare County Special Olympics, Dare County Senior Games, My Father's Tabernacle Kids Christmas Shop, as well as an assortment of church, vacation Bible schools, and other community activities. According to her nominator, Miss Pat has such a heart for others and is truly one of the most giving, compassionate people ever encountered. I have literally watched her take her coat off and give it to a chorus student at the Manio Christmas tree lighting event. All of our exceptional children adore Miss Pat at school. She goes the extra mile to help them feel included and successful in our school activities. She is sensitive to their needs and responds with love and care. Pat supports so many students and individuals in Dare County. She volunteers with the music program at Mania Elementary School. She devotes countless hours to music students working on the chorus, holiday productions, and the spring musical. She assists with weekly rehearsals, works backstage, procures costumes and props, and helps with songs and stage blocking. She sees a need and steps up without ever having to be asked. Pat doesn't just show up to help. She is fully committed, often seen in creative costumes and bringing joy to so many children. Pat is such a bright light in our community, not only through her dedicated service, but also in the example she sets for all of our students. Pat is a true example of putting others' needs before her own. I can think of no better recipient more deserving than Miss Pat to be recognized for her outstanding volunteer service in Dare County. Now we have Michael McLean. And I think he may have been tricked to be here. Michael McLean was nominated by Melissa Overton in recognition of his many years of extraordinary dedication and selfless service to First Flight High School athletics and the First Flight High School Nighthawk Club. According to his nominator, Michael's volunteerism goes far beyond what is expected. He has become a constant and reliable presence, supporting countless athletic programs, including football, soccer, lacrosse, baseball, softball, and more. He spends innumerable hours in the concession stand, ordering food, preparing and cooking meals, serving families and fans, and ensuring everything is organized and ready for each event. His commitment often requires evenings, weekends, and long stretches of time when others are enjoying the games from the stands. Michael's volunteer service not only benefits the students, parents, teachers, and community members attending local sporting events hosted by First Flight High, his dedication to volunteerism also has a direct and measurable impact when it comes to providing the financial support that's needed for Dare County student athletes to excel in their athletic endeavors. Through his efforts, Michael has helped meet a critical need for fundraising and operational support that directly benefits student athletes and school programs. The concession stand is a vital source of revenue, and Michael's leadership and consistency have ensured its success year after year. Families, fans, and visiting teams have come to recognize Michael as the welcoming and familiar face of First Flight Concessions, embodying school spirit and community pride. In addition to game day responsibilities, Michael dedicates weekends to behind-the-scene work, including cleaning out of the concession stand and rebuilding the commemorative brick display at the entrance of the football field, an enduring symbol of community support. His reliability, work ethic, and genuine care for the school make him an invaluable volunteer. Michael's service reflects outstanding commitment, quiet leadership, and a heartfelt dedication that has left a lasting positive impact on the First Flight High School community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you. And congratulations to everyone.
Mr. Chairman, item 6 on the agenda is a proclamation for EMS Week 2027, and 2026. Captain Stephen Britt's here for that, or Burritt is here for that.
Good morning, Captain.
Good morning. Wait 1 second. Let's let the folks that just got the governor's award go out and get a photo, please.
It's an honor to be here and talk about my chosen career and passion of EMS and to read the 2026 EMS Week Proclamation. To designate the week of May 17th through the 23rd of 2026 as Emergency Medical Services Week. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas emergency medical services is the community's medical care safety net, fills gaps and provides important out-of-hospital care and performs life-saving and time-critical interventions. And whereas emergency medical services personnel serve our community on the front lines, often with personal sacrifices of being away from their families on nights, weekends, and holidays in all types of weather environments, and face numerous personal risks and threats to ensure our community receives the best care possible. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, administrators, emergency nurses, emergency physicians, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week, and whereas with this year's national theme for Emergency Medical Services Week being Improving Outcomes Together. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dare County Board of Commissioners, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 17th through 23rd, 2026 as Emergency Medical Services Week, this, the 4th day of May, 2026.
Motion to adopt. Okay, there's a motion on the floor by the Vice Chair to adopt the proclamation. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Commissioner Balance. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 7 on the agenda is a proclamation for Older Americans Month, and with your permission, I'll read that proclamation.
Yes, sir.
Whereas May is Older Americans Month, a time for us to recognize and honor Dare County's older adults and their immense influence on every facet of American society. And whereas our communities benefit when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds can participate fully with the highest level of independence. And whereas older Americans improve our communities through intergenerational relationships, community service, civic engagement, and many other activities. And whereas Dare County must ensure that as we age, we have the resources and support needed to stay involved in our communities, reflecting our commitment to inclusivity and connectedness. And whereas Dare County recognizes the valuable role of caregivers and the need to promote programs and services that support and foster their well-being, now therefore the Dare County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim May 2026 as Older Americans Month. This year's theme, Champion Your Health, focused on prevention, wellness, personal responsibility as cornerstones of healthy aging. It encourages taking an active role in managing your health, advocating for yourself, accessing preventative care, and making informed decisions that support independence. We call upon all residents to join us in recognizing the contributions of our older citizens and promoting programs and activities that foster connection, inclusion, and support for older adults.
Pleasure of the board. Motion to adopt. There's a motion on the floor by the Vice Chair to adopt. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Commissioner Burris. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, that brings us to item 8 on the agenda. Maggie Dennis is here to present the Older Adult Services Advisory Council Annual Report.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name's Maggie Dennis. I'm the chairperson for the Dare County's Older Adult Advisory Council. And just a brief reminder, we are made up of 11 rotating members. We have been meeting since the 80s and in all 3 centers since 2022. This has allowed the advisory board to see firsthand the centers, their accomplishments, and their needs. These centers are helping seniors remain independent, prevent isolation, to explore solutions that promote dignity, independence, and the quality of life for the older adults in Dare County. We base our recommendations on these visits and input from the older adult community and on-site participation. I also have some of our members here, which I'd like to recognize, because we have that Betsy Kelly, who represents, because we try to represent all the different areas, is Collington. We have Dawn Askew, who's up towards Kitty Hawk. We have Miss Vicki West, who has just joined us, and she is now, we're so happy to say, representing Hatteras Island. And we have Mary Pendle, who's vice chair, and as y'all know Miss Mary, and she's Roanoke Island. And Mary Ann Ballas is, I said that again, Mary Ballas, I'm so sorry, Holland. Mary Ellen Holland represents pretty much the Southern Shores. And then we have Sandra Burgee, who does Kitty Hawk, Kill Devil Hills. And we're missing one of our other persons, Don Berg, who represents Nags Head. So we kind of have it covered. We do need somebody from the mainland, and we're working on that one. Please keep in mind, we have population is growing. North Carolina is one of the fastest aging states in the nation. And by 2030, 1 in 5 residents will be the age of 65 or older. I believe the prediction is for Dare County that by 2032, we will have more 65 plus than 18 and under. The rapid growth is not matched by proportional increase funding for aging services and creates a widening gap for the need for services and available resources. At the same time, many counties experience wait lists, sometimes in excess of 100 people, for essential services such as home-delivered meals, in-home aid, transportation, and adult daycare. Behind each of these wait lists is an older adult making difficult decisions about how to maintain independence and critical to preserving dignity as people age. With this in mind, last fall, the Older Adult Services Council planned and hosted the first Senior Community Resource Fair in November. We're pleased to have Commissioner Burris in attendance for this entire event. We also appreciated that he stayed to help us with the breakdown and the cleanup afterwards. This assistance from the county's, we did this with assistance from the county's Department of Public Services. Spencer was very, very instrumental in with that, as well as public relations and all 3 of our centers. We had a good attendance and feedback, and the fair had over 30 vendors with informational table that created discussion and inclusion for our older population. And we hope to continue this about every 3 or 4 years. The facilities. Each center, we have 3 of them, but each center continues to offer active living programs, art programs, clubs, wellness series of classes, and the centers continue with caregiver and senior programming. Even our North Carolina legislators are highlighting how senior centers and the opportunities for engagement help reduce social isolation, support mental well-being among older adults, and maintaining independence, and this is vital. The Baum Center, being the only dedicated senior center for those at 55 years or older, is a very happening place. I will say, if you've ever gone to visit there, it is very, very busy. We have seen many improvements to the building inside and out, but the space is still needed for the ever-growing community. They had over 1,300 persons clocked into the My Senior Center to participate in the many offerings during 2025. The Baum Center was able to provide events such as educational support groups, estate planning, safety. They did over 1,160 fitness classes, over 41 health and nutrition events, and assisted with over 520 SHIP or Medicare enrollments. The Virginia Tillett Center had over 896 recorded members from the ages of 55 up through 85, versus the 514 that were under the age of 55. So you can see it's really important. Our older adult participants greatly outnumbered their 55-year-old participants in all activities, including fitness, and the center served 174 SHIP enrollments. The Fesden Center served 865 participants in a variety of older adult services or activities. Their fitness and pickleball participation averages 550 participants a week. That's 91 people. Approximately 75% of their pickleball participants are over the age of 55. And in 2025, the center had multiple health fairs, including flu clinics and with ECU Health and Dare County Health Department. The Beach Pantry, food pantry also went down there to participate. And the total participants that this reached in that outreach programs were 394. Their older adult luncheons and classes and trips and participation was well over 460. And so you can see that these programs and the staffing of these programs is essential for continued success. The center is currently getting an expansion to accommodate staff needs for a safer workplace. They have been working out of closets, kitchens, and elbow to elbow for quite a long time, so we are much appreciative of that. In closing, our council believes that what benefits older adults ultimately benefits people of all ages, strengthening families, communities, and the county as a whole. Respectful dialogue, shared understanding, inclusive policy approaches are essential to advancing equity and the well-being for North Carolinians across generations. The power of belonging can help someone remove barriers and foster communities where every older adult is valued and supported. We look forward to having strong advocates for our older adult population, and on behalf of the Older Adult Advisory Council members, we express our thanks for your continued support and interest in our older adult community.
Well, thank you so much for that report, Maggie. Very, very positive. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that brings us to item 10 on the agenda. This is a request from the Wanchese Marine Industrial Park for a state appropriation. And Barton Grover of our staff and Bob Peel from the Seafood Authority.
We got somebody else going to join us
Will
too.
you introduce her? And they're here to make that presentation.
I'm going to defer right to Bob, straight to the source.
Oh, we're in trouble. Thank you all very much for the time this morning. I want to introduce Lexia Weaver. She is with Sea and Shoreline. That's a private group that does resiliency and shoreline projects up and down the entire East Coast, from Florida to North Carolina, and they've been a big help in this effort along with the Coastal Federation. We have an issue in Wanchese. I'm not going to, y'all are all familiar with the Wanchese Marine Industrial Park. It's still one of the major hubs of the marine industry here in Dare County, but we have an issue, and that is the 2,500 linear foot shoreline that faces Broad Creek, basically the eastern shoreline of the park, is eroding. And certainly down at the southern end of the park, it's eroding at an extremely alarming rate of 2 feet per year. The reason that's happening is first weather events, obviously, but also the charter fleet going by every day creates quite a bit of wake, and it is scary how we are losing shoreline. So about 3 years ago, in fact, I was out there this morning and went and measured, and we've got shoreline, a cliff, if you will, about 20 feet from a building now. So it's really becoming an issue. So about 3 years ago, we started an effort with our friends at Sea and Shoreline and the Coastal Federation, tried to figure out what to do. And the idea is to install a living shoreline structure out along the shoreline that serves as fish habitat, but also provides us that break from that wave activity that we need. So we've been trying to cobble together the funding. The cost of the project's about a little over $3 million. We just got $2.6 million through a federal appropriation in one of those bills they just passed. Thank you, Senator Tillis, for doing this. But they were only going to fund 75% of the project. So we have a shortfall now. Before we can get the project started, we want to try to clear that shortfall out of the way. So what we're asking is for the Dare County Board of Commissioners to submit a request to the legislature for $1.5 million, which gets us through the shortfall and gets us to start the project as soon as possible. This will be a pass-through. So you'll get the money, and then the money will come to Department of Commerce and the Wanchese Marine Park, and will allow the project to be done. I will mention the project is fully permitted and is fully designed. We're just trying to cobble the money together. And Lexia is here to answer any detailed questions, because you know I'm not a detailed person, generally. I'll defer to the board and ask the board if they have any questions.
I got some questions. So I'm looking at obviously this is not a construction map, but what are y'all gonna do about all the docks and boat ramps and everything else that's over there? How you gonna?
Well, and that's interesting you mentioned that, Commissioner, because actually those
the piers on the Broad Creek side are actually disconnecting now from the shoreline.
Yeah, on the
So-
left side, I know, but that big boat ramp, that's the only big boat ramp in Wanchee.
That's right. And we are going to, obviously, we're going to run this structure that you see, I think, in your packet, will run under those docks and get close to the boat ramp. Of course, we can't run it out in front of the boat ramp, obviously.
Okay, because it's, on this map, it is running out in front of the boat ramp. That's why I was,
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, it obviously won't do that.
okay, so there, people will still have access to that.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. I'm just on this map. It's
I'm sorry.
We're good.
Bob, let me ask you this. Are they having, were you done? Yeah. Okay. They're looking at doing one along Sugar Creek, a natural shoreline. And they're also putting oyster beds and structures. Do you know about this?
A little bit.
Yeah, okay. Do you have any intent of doing that behind the structures that you're putting out there, maybe to generate some vegetation?
Well, our structure is going to be right near the shoreline.
Okay.
The further you go out, the bigger the structures have to be, the bigger the cost.
Right.
And we're trying to do this as cheaply as possible, because money's hard to come by. There will be some grasses planted, I think, between this structure and the shoreline to create some habitat.
Okay.
But there's nothing mentioned yet about oyster cultivation.
They'll grow on the structures.
Oh,
too.
okay.
Yeah.
Oysters will grow on the structures. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
See, that's why she's here.
Anyone else have any questions of Bob?
So again, this is just asking y'all to be a pass-through.
Right.
I'll make the motion.
All right. There's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Balance, and it's been seconded by Commissioner Bateman and the Vice Chair. Any further discussion?
I'm excited to see how this works because I think, we're starting to look outside the box and
There are
see
several
some
other places
shoreline.
in Dare County
Yeah,
that,
Dare County, there's a lot of places in Dare County that can use something of this nature, and this will be a great start.
and we have great partners. We put together a really good team for this one. So I'm learning a lot as we go on this, a lot.
Very good. Anyone else? Okay, those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose like sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Bob.
Bob, would you work with Barton to get
Yes, sir.
details of that letter so that we can send it out over the chairman's signature as well as the agreement and the indemnities and things
There is
that we
going to be an
need?
agreement, yes, sir.
Okay. Next is item 11. This is a request for funding for the Dare Day Dockside event in Wanchese Marina, and I'll turn that over to the chairman.
Thank you, County Manager. As most of you are aware, the town of Manio is not hosting the annual Dare Day event this year. They didn't fit that in their budget, and I was approached by some residents of Wanchese, members of the community, and they've organized a similar event that they would like to host in Wanchese, and they're calling it Dare Day Dockside Event. And it's scheduled for June the 6th, and it's going to be from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Mill Landing Road. And they've asked if we would consider helping them in this initial year. If it's a success, they'll do it, continue to do it in the future. But, they're going to need some help with setting up tents, renting tents, vendors, displays, events for kids. And I'm proposing that we, out of our contingency fund, that we fund them $10,000 to help with this event this year, and I'll make that a motion.
I'll second it, but I got a question.
Yes, sir.
This is for 1 year, or is this something they want to do every year?
They want to look at doing it every year, but they've only asked us for this year, the funding for this year.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a second. Any other questions?
Do they have like an organized group that's
Yes.
working on it?
Yes,
And they're planning on doing it each year? That's exciting.
if it's successful. Yeah. Yep. Anyone else? All right, hearing that, those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you all.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know who the contact is, but whoever that is needs to get with Matt and
I've
Sally.
already talked to him
Okay.
and get up with Matt and Dorothy as well.
Perfect. Next comes item 12 on the agenda. This is a public hearing on the finance of the Public Works beach nourishment projects and the related security interest. Matt, do you want to just give a little update on what that is before we have the public hearing?
So following the public hearing, we're going to ask that you vote on a resolution. So I'll summarize that, which will frame the public hearing. So this is really to provide flexibility in how we finance the public works and the upcoming beach nourishment project. So you have already approved the resolution for the funding of public works. What this is doing is combining those two things. So in the event that we get the FAA release in time, we can issue the debt all at once, which is more cost effective for the county. So the resolution is specific to those projects. It basically empowers Bobby and myself to negotiate the financing. The collateral of the financing will be dependent on that decision. So if we get the FAA release, we will use the new Public Works facility as collateral. In the absence of that, we use the Justice Center as collateral for beach nourishment. So it has a not to exceed of $108,200,000, of which $56,500,000 is the beach nourishment for Buxton, Avon, and Nags Head, and $51.7 million is the Public Works project. And so that has some cushion in it for expansion in costs, which we would bring to the CIP committee before we'd move that project forward. So that number is hopefully much higher than what we would ultimately issue. What it also allows us to do is reimburse ourselves for any expenditures related to those projects in advance of the debt issuance. And so the first step is the public hearing.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll have the public hearing, and then when we get to the resolution, if you have questions, then that'll be the time to ask the questions. Good. Ladies and gentlemen, now's the time that's been set aside for a public hearing on the financing of public works and beach nourishment projects and related security interests. If you'd like to speak, the rules of public comment that I outlined earlier apply. Is there anyone here today that would like to speak to that issue? Seeing no hands here, is there anyone in Buxton who would like to speak to that issue?
No comment from Buxton.
No comment from Buxton. With that, Mr. Chairman, I would close the public comment, and we would then move on to item 13, which is request to adopt the initial resolution related to the public works and beach nourishment financing. And if you have any questions, then Matt and I'll try to answer those questions.
It's a rather lengthy resolution.
Yeah, hopefully you're not going to ask me to read all that this time.
I'll spare you.
I think we really do need.
Yeah.
War and peace.
Yeah. I'm gonna trust that the board has read that
Yes.
resolution. With that being said, the pleasure of the board.
Motion to adopt.
It's a motion to adopt by Commissioner Bateman. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by the vice chair. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, that brings us then to item 14, and this is the presentation of the fiscal year 27 recommended manager's budget. Good morning. I'm here today to present the recommended Dare County budget for fiscal year 2026-27 in the amount of $246,457,463, with the general fund portion at $145,555,422 of that amount. The budget is balanced and is in compliance with the North Carolina Local Government Budget and Fiscal Control Act and is in line with the direction and the priorities given to us by the Board of Commissioners. This is the second year of the county's 2-year budget cycle and reflects creative and one-time temporary solutions that both honor the board's directive not to increase the property tax rate and to allocate resources to maintain our current levels of services. The purpose of the county's annual budget process is to develop a fiscally responsible plan that enables the county to accomplish priorities established by the board. At prior retreats, the board provided the following strategic focus areas: long-term financial planning and capital, that is to maintain the capital planning and stabilization of available funding through the use of capital investment funds, long-term capital planning, and debt affordability models. Next is economic development. We're going to continue beach nourishment efforts, including the planning for ongoing funding of future maintenance projects based on the beach nourishment and debt affordability model. Next is education, to continue the partnership with Dare County Schools using an agreed-upon formula for local current expense and the School Capital Investment Fund to adequately address future capital needs. To continue expansion of the College of the Albemarle through a completed capital project, utilization of the Dare Guarantee, a county-funded local scholarship program, and the addition of the Dare County Early College on the Roanoke Island campus. In human resources, to maintain improvements in salaries and benefits per the recommendations of a salary and benefits study made effective in January of 2023, and to maintain our current level of services. So for our fiscal year 26-27 budget, the recommended budget includes no general fund property tax increases. It preserves a high-quality service delivery to our citizens, our property owners, and our visitors, and it addresses all of the goals of the board. The following table shows the original 2026 budget, the planned 2027 budget from last year's budget message, the 2027 requested budget, the manager's recommended 2027 budget. The capital improvement plans will be completed after the presentation of this budget, with the final budget document. The final budget document will include the adopted capital improvements plan and the water CIP. So we'll bring both of those to you in July with the final budget. And in between, the CIP will have met to look at those as well. At the budget workshop on April 14th, the Board of Commissioners recommended that the COLA be maintained at 3% from the adjusted 2.7% plan for an increase of $175,000 and an additional allocation to the SPCA of $5,000. Emergency management software increases of $16,000 have been added. These additional expenses were funded with one-time transfers from the LEOSA and inlet maintenance and Motorola contract negotiations of $30,000. The general fund budget, we'll look at the requested budget first. After all budget requests were submitted by departments and outside agencies, the requested expenditures were an increase of almost $5 million, or 3.46%, from the 27 planned budget, and $7.8 million, or 5.51%, from the 2026 original budget. Our recommended budget. The recommended budget does not include a property tax increase. Expenditures increased from the 2027 plan budget by $980,000, 0.68%, and $3.7 million, 2.67% from the original 2026 budget. These increases were driven by $1.7 million for a 3% cost of living pay increase, $700,000 for Dare County Schools, $500,000 for supplemental retiree Medicare, and a balance of $850,000 for rate and contract increases from existing items such as retirement, email services, utilities, insurance, and Motorola communication services. On our revenues, the current revenue projections are, since fiscal year 2021, the county's experienced increased economic activity as shown by the table before you. Our revenue assumptions for 2027 are, for our property tax, the base tax increased to a taxable value of $28.7 billion from the prior year amount of $27.3 billion. Projected revenue is $75,249,570 using the unchanged tax rate of 26.32 cents and a collection rate of 99.63%. Sales tax, our A39 and our A43 taxes are projected to grow at 2.5%, while the A40 tax is projected at 3.3%. These are based on the NC League of Municipalities revenue projection recommendations. On the occupancy tax, the tax is budgeted for 2027 at 2.5% over the projected 2026 amount, lower than the 20-year average growth rate of 3.84%, but above the 5-year average following the pandemic of 6.52%. Our sales tax history with the 2027 budgeted changes are shown on the graph below. When we look at our county tax rates, we use them compared to an effective tax rate versus the nominal tax rate. The effective tax rate includes an adjustment for property sales to assessment ratio for each county. Dare County's effective tax rate for 2025 was 26.07 cents, which ranks as the 7th lowest. The average was 50.17 with a low of 21.04 and a high of 87.3. However, the actual county property tax rate in North Carolina, for North Carolina, averaged 58.35 cents with a low of 22.5 and a high of 99 cents. Dare County's 26.32 cents is the 2nd lowest property tax rate in the state. Next, we'll look at our fund balance appropriation. The 2027 appropriated fund balance of $7,277,000 is within the board adopted policy of 5% or less of expenditures. It increased from 3% increased from 3% to 5% for the years 2026 and 27 only. With the amount of unassigned fund balance over the 25% policy, the board directed the use of the non-recurring sources for recurring expenditures, recognizing that revenue adjustments will need to be made for 2028. Again, what that says is we use non-recurring money from our fund balance to help balance this budget, which paid for expenses that are going to occur. We can't continue to do that, and so in our next budget, we're going to have to account for that and make up that difference. The 2025 general fund consolidated fund balance ended the year at a total of $122 million. The 2025 unassigned fund balance closed at $45 million, exceeding the board's minimum of 25% of general fund revenues by $12,355,000. On the expenditure side, expenditures were driven by increases for the Dare County schools, cost of living pay adjustments, and by rate and existing contract increases. Major expenditure increases by object are $1.7 million for a 3% cost of living pay adjustment for all full-time employees, $676,000 increase for Dare County schools for their local current expense calculation, $591,000 from the state retirement system increased, $529,000 for retiree supplemental Medicare cost, $393,000 for beach access, fully funded by NCDEQ and OBX Forever, $315,000 for the purchase of transportation van, 90% of which was offset by NCTOT grants, $140,684 in contracted services, $101 of which is the Dare Challenge, is for the Dare Challenge by Solid Waste Management.
Bobby, quick question. On the, where you said the 90% was, so is that money before or after that 90%? Just to be clear.
That's the total amount. 90% of that total is funded by another source.
Okay, so that 390s would be actually less for us?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify.
Yes.
Thank you.
We have $104 million in professional services. $60,000 of the increase is for detention center medical contracts. $95,000 in increases for insurance for property liability and workers' compensation. $87,000 in maintenance and repair for equipment. $76,000 for the increase of preventative maintenance contracts for EMS medical equipment and radios, $86,968 in technical support for subscriptions, $64,964 for shop overhead cost increases, $56,716 for indirect overhead costs of the College of the Albemarle and the Dare County Airport Authority, and $44,982 for medical supplies due to price increases. For our employee compensation, as we've said before, the 2027 budget recommends a 3% cost of living increase for full-time eligible employees at a cost of $1,749,582. It maintains the 3% employer 401k plan contribution, and it maintains our current merit plan. For the health plan has a projected increase of 3% at a cost of $285,000. The county continues to promote its wellness program and has expanded hours and coverages for its partnership with the Outer Banks Hospital for the employees and wellness clinic. These things have correlated to modest annual growth increases relative to peer counties. And just for an example, we've got some statistics last week that some of our peer counties in the Northeast have seen health insurance increases as much as 39%. So that 3% is very modest in the healthcare arena. And a lot of that has to do with the things that you all have done with our clinics and our wellness program. Position changes. The 2027 recommended budget includes the addition of 4 new full-time positions, offset by 4 position eliminations, the organization of 5 positions, and 2 one-time allocations to support planned retirements. The Water Department reorganization includes the addition of 2 new full-time positions, offset by 2 position eliminations, and an additional 4 position reclassifications. Our new full-time positions, we have 4 income maintenance caseworkers. Our reclassifications are for a leisure activity specialist in Parks and Rec, an assistant county assessor, a lands record transfer specialist, and administrative assistants for EMS, an administrative officer at EMS. Our temporary positions to support retirement are a part-time finance support and a part-time Health and Human Services DSS support. We have eliminated full-time positions, 2 in-home service aides, CNA 1s, 2 home management assistants. In the Water Department, we're adding 2 new full-time positions. We need an assistant public utility director and a waste treatment superintendent. And then we also are reclassifying positions for a wastewater treatment superintendent and, water treatment superintendent and a water treatment chief. The Water Department also eliminates the full-time positions of a distribution system specialist and a meter services technician. As you know, we have gone to an electronic meter reading system, which means we don't need those meter positions any longer. In the capital side, the capital investment funds and the capital improvement plans will be presented to the board at a future meeting. While the budget has to be adopted before July the 1st, the capital improvement plan remains in place until you adopt a new one, so you can adopt that whenever. We hope to have that for you to adopt at our June meeting as well, but there's no statutory deadline for that if something changes as we go through that with the Capital Improvement Committee. For our Dare County schools, funding of the local current expenses uses the school funding formula that was agreed upon in 2016, resulting in an increase of $646,341, and it was using a CPI rate of 1.9% and a match to the estimated state cost of living pay adjustment of 2.75% for certified and classified personnel. This estimate is subject to change when the state budget is adopted, and we've heard everything in the state budget from 3% to 8% and have no idea what they're going to do or if they're going to do anything. So we could have a big surprise or no surprise. We'll just have to wait and see what they do with the budget. With regard to the funding of the schools, we continue the funding at the current level of supplements and the free lunch program, and includes an increase to the square footage allocation for the Dare County Early College. Local funding for school operating costs increased from $32,381,762 in 2026 to $33,058,726, which is 22.7% of the general fund budget. It includes $31.4 million for local current expense and $1.6 million for county employed school nurses and school resource officers. Our pupil enrollments and projections are the actual ADM for the fall of 2024 was 4,817 students. The actual ADM for the fall of 2025 was 4,696 students. And then the NCDPI projection for the fall of 2026, and they no longer provide those projections. For the last 12 years, 2016 through 2027, the local at current expense funding, excluding school nurses and resource officers, and the 5-year annual deferred maintenance funding through 2019 has increased 51.7% from $20,710,000 to $31,422,000. Over the same 12-year period, the pupils have decreased by 5.7% from 4,979 to 4,696. When we look at our departments, we're a list here of departments with increases over $150,000, including all costs previously discussed. These are as follows. Again, the Dare County Schools, $676,000, EMS, $538,000, non-departmental is $511,000, Health and Human Services is $493,000, planning is $389,000. Public Works across all the Public Works departments are $388,000. The Sheriff Detention Center and Communications are $337,000. Parks and Recreation are $333,000. Transportation, $316,000, and Libraries, $204,000. Our nonprofit and grants, the budget maintains the same existing funding levels for the nonprofits, except that you all requested a $5,000 allocation increase for the Outer Banks SPCA, and the budget includes that request. The Capital Investment Fund and the Capital Improvement Plans. The Capital Investment Fund is separately budgeted as a part of the general fund. For financial reporting purposes, the Capital Investment Fund is consolidated into the general fund in the annual audit report, along with the Disaster Recovery Fund, the LEOSA Fund, the Home Health and Hospice Restricted Fund, Stormwater Fund, the Community Development Housing, School Capital Investment Funds. You can look in the information section for further explanation of that fund organization. In conjunction with the Capital Investment Fund, the county and its financial advisor, DEC Associates, maintain a capital planning and debt affordability model. Use of a capital investment fund separates budgeting for county operations from that for capital improvements. The general fund's contribution to the capital investment fund will be $9.8 million for 2027. The model also includes plans for major items like roof replacements, heating and air conditioning replacements, major equipment replacements, and major maintenance on the Dare Medflight Airbus helicopter. A model is in development and in process and expected to be presented soon to the board at our June 9th meeting. The approved capital improvements plan will be incorporated into the final budget. Our other funds, we have a disaster recovery fund. The disaster recovery fund is separately budgeted, part of the general fund. It includes software disaster recovery services of $100,000 for the initial response to any emergency. The board policy is to maintain an ending disaster recovery total fund balance of 1% of the general fund. As of June 30th, 2025, that percentage was 1.35%. Our E911 fund, the budget includes funding set by the North Carolina E911 board. The fund balance as of the end of 2025 was $85,415. The Beach Nourishment Fund. The Beach Nourishment Fund budget is set per the Beach Nourishment financial model. The 2026 expenditures will include the initial costs of the Buxton Avon Nags Head project scheduled to begin in May and completed in 2027. Expenditures will also include the debt service for previously completed projects in Avon, Buxton, Kill Level Hills, Kitty Hawk, Southern Shores, and Duck. In the Sanitation Fund, the Sanitation Fund's property tax rate increased to 8.42 cents in 2026 per the recommendation of the solid waste study completed in 2022. An updated solid waste study by Raftellus Financial Consulting will be completed with Raftellus in advance of the next budget cycle. The fund balance in the sanitation fund at the end of 2025 was $1.8 million. In the water fund, the Roanoke Island Water Distribution Main Replacement Project was completed in 2025 and funded by the Extension and Replacement Fund at a cost of $16 million. The water rate model includes a 4.5% rate increase in each of 5 years to restore the fund to $8 million. The 2027 recommended budget includes an additional increase of 2%, a total of 6.5% increase to fund a proposed staffing reorganization and additional operational funding needs. The 2027 water rate model, again done by Raftellus Financial Consulting, is being updated, and the water rate model dashboard will be incorporated into the final budget document. The recommended water CIP will be reviewed by the Capital Improvements Planning Committee and is expected to be presented to the board on June 9th. The approved capital improvement plan will be incorporated again into the final budget document. Our internal services funds, the county maintains 2 internal service funds, the insurance fund and the fleet maintenance fund, and adopts financial plans for each of those funds. On the insurance funds, as we discussed earlier, the health plan has a projected 3% increase for 2027. For the 1 year of 2027, this increase will be funded from the fund balance of the insurance fund. The fund balance as of the end of 2025 was $6.2 million. Again, that's one of those reoccurring costs that's being funded out of a non-recurring fund. In the fleet maintenance fund is projected to maintain its current fund balance of approximately $500,000. Looking forward to 2028, the county's last property tax increase was in 2017 and focused on the investment of equipment for emergency medical services. Since then, expenditure growth has been offset through prudent resource allocation decisions and one-time revenue increases experienced during the pandemic. Pressures on expenditure growth and continue with sustained inflation, ever-expanding compliance requirements, and unavoidable technology investments. As revenue growth has not kept pace with these expense growths, the gap has been solved with many one-time actions to maintain services in 26 and 27. If revenue sources remain flat and additional operation efficiencies are not identified, a tax increase in 2028 would be anticipated. Again, what we've done is we've held things flat, we've cut things, we've used non-recurring funds to continue to balance the budget. That is not sustainable, and next year we're going to have to take a look at how do we solve that gap that is ever increasing. The drivers of this gap is the expiration of the spending policy, which would return that 5% fund balance to 3%. That's $2.8 million. And the reinstatement of the capital investment money that we took out year before last of $600,000. The restoration of a one-time funding sources for the schools, which is $625,000. And the insurance increase of $285,000 that we talked about earlier. Costs associated with EMS transport expansion to support the hospital are expected to be around $1.7 million, and anticipated just new requests for increased costs for the next 2-year budget cycle could run anywhere as much as $4.5 million. So in conclusion, the board will be requested to hold a public hearing on the budget during the board meeting on June 9th. The board may schedule additional workshops or may adopt the budget at any time after the public hearing. I want to thank the board for your input and your guidance and the direction that you've given the staff. This reflects the discussions that we had in our workshop. Your leadership and direction helps us immensely. I also want to thank Matt and his staff. They did a huge amount of work, and we've got a lot of balls in the air right now with all the things we have going on in the county and doing this and doing all the other things. I mean, they've spent time at night at home on weekends. And again, thank you for your hard work and for getting this done. I mean, we were email and as late as yesterday. So we've been really doing a lot of work trying to get this completed, and they've done a great job. And I also want to thank our staff as well. Our staff listened to your guidance through the year. You told us many, many times that keep the budget flat, no tax increases, but we don't want you cutting the services either. And so we've been able to do that. And next year we'll have to deal with whatever issues that creates. So you'll have a balanced budget along the lines that I just described to you. That's what we're going to present to you when we come back in June. I would ask you all to set the public hearing for June 9th. And if you have questions, then either Matt or I can answer those questions.
Any questions of Bobby and Matt at this time?
I have a quick question, and this is kind of looking forward and newbie on the board. If the municipalities increase their taxes, how does that affect us? How does that affect what the county does?
So when they increased their property taxes, our sales tax revenue that is local is divvied up between the towns and the county based on your tax levy. So when their levy goes up and ours stays the same, we get less of the sales tax dollars. That was about $1 million hit to us. They all raised taxes last year. We did not. That cost us $1 million in sales tax revenue that we had to make up for in this budget.
Okay.
And that's not the first time that's happened, so.
That happens all the time.
Yeah.
One just came out, their managers from Andy was appropriating 3 cents this year on their group. I talked to one individual from a municipality this weekend. They're looking at 4 cents. So if everybody goes up 3 to 4 cents again, it's going to hit us for another $1 million this year. And then instead of looking at 4 or 5 cent increase next year, we might be going a lot more.
Yeah, we're having to absorb those hits each time that happens. Each time, I mean, that's not a reason for us to raise taxes, but it is creating a problem for us because it's creating a significant hole in our budget. I said it earlier, but I'll say it again. We had $7 million more in requests and needs and things than we had revenue, and so we brought that $7 million down to zero by doing some things and by Matt helping work through a number of these things, meeting with all of the departments, scaling things down, trying to get our things in order so that we could bring you back the budget that you told us to bring you. So that's the kind of scale that we looked at this year, and we're probably looking at that or more next year that we're going to have to deal with. So
It seems as though that the municipality's doing that, and I don't, I'm just learning this, so if I misspeak, I apologize, but I feel like that's putting an additional burden on our non-incorporated areas that have to absorb that
What's putting it on everybody? I mean, they're paying twice. They're paying.
Yeah,
they're
because
paying,
it's twice as much in the people in those municipalities as well.
Well, it didn't put a burden on us yet because we haven't raised taxes to do that. But it has put a burden on the county because we have to absorb it, allocate resources that we would rather use somewhere else to cover those deficits.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for your hard work.
Yep.
Anyone else?
I got a question. So I guess now we're going to do an additional 2.5% on the water rate?
Correct.
Is that for this year?
Correct.
For what exactly? Because we already went up 4.5%.
All right, so we do a water model, I don't know, every 3 years. In that water rate model, the actuaries look at the costs of doing business, what the cost of chemicals are going to do, all the budgetary things and all that, and they then help calculate a water rate. Because we have a bifurcated rate where you pay a base and then you pay a per gallon at certain levels, then you have to run it through this model because it's not one-to-one. When you raise a penny, it doesn't do anything evenly because of the way it's bifurcated. And so when you do that, you get a rate, and that rate's projected out. On top of that, just to operate, we took $16 million out of our water fund that we have to replace.
That's why we did the 4.5% over 5 years.
Right, and then on top of that, what we're doing is we don't have a deputy water director. Our water director, if she gets hurt, if she quits, if something happens, we have no one there, no depth there to run the water department, which may be our most critical department. And so we can't go on. We've got to create depth. And so all those reclassifications and reorganizations and all those things that we talked about in there are to accomplish that depth. And so we're moving a person into a deputy role that creates a hole for a superintendent. We're removing some regionals, but creating superintendent levels at our plants. We're eliminating positions, and we're trying to make all that work out as inexpensively as we can, but the net result is that additional cost.
So we got to raise everybody in the whole county's water rate 2.5% to reclassify people's job titles?
That is correct.
Well, it's 2%, and it's about 70% related to compensation, which includes, you know how the budget, if we walk back to the budget workshop, we didn't have any COLA in the 27 baseline budget. So it's actually the COLA is the majority of that.
Okay.
And then there is a net 100,000, which is the reorg, and then there's a couple 100,000 worth of operating things related to making sure that all of the plants have an equitable budget as it relates to uniforms, training, chemical supplies, all that stuff. So the majority of it is actually the COLA.
Tell me, is this right? 2% times the minimum rate of $49.98.
Yeah, you're saying on the baseline amount?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what that means in real terms, it means that someone who's paying $49 on the base rate, their rate's going to go up 98 cents.
Okay, well, I mean, I know that we put the 5-year deal to replace the one-time investment of the $16 million in the water line busted. Obviously, we had a major failure, had to do it. I get that. But I was under the impression that after 5 years, the rate would go back down. And now we're talking about increasing it another 2.5%.
2%.
2%. Okay, well, it says 2.5 on my.
The 4.5% increase is the 5 years. So at the end of that, it would just be based on that Raftellus model. This 2% is a one-time, which is obviously carried in the base going forward it's really the COLA. But
So in 5 years, we're going to remove that 4.5% increase.
in 5 years, you would have an increase based on whatever the operating costs are.
If you're asking, are we going to cut water rates in 5 years by 4.5%, the answer is unlikely.
I know. Everything, once something goes up, it never goes back down. That's the way the world works.
But understand that the water fund is a self-fulfilling fund. It pays its own expenses, and it doesn't make a profit. It's designed to cover costs. So there's no excess in it other than what you have to have in the fund balance to pay for a water tank or a pipe repair and all that. It does not contribute back to the general fund. It only covers its own costs. So it costs what it costs to make water, and the rate has to cover that cost, and that's what that is.
Okay.
Anyone else? All right.
With that being said, we need to schedule a public hearing. Is there have a motion to schedule a public hearing June the 9th?
Motion to have a public hearing.
There's a motion on the floor by the vice chair, and it's seconded by Commissioner Burris. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Matt.
That then brings us to the consent agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
On the consent agenda, you have the approval of the minutes from April 7th and April 14th. You have the tax collector's report, the Collington Billing LLC for EMS, the financial policy update, the Time Clock Plus LLC contract, Dare County Public Library policies, the Scenario EOC AV maintenance contract, 5311 designee certification for fiscal year 2028 through 32, the Manio Shallow Bag Bay Dredge Permit Project, the Shallow Draft Cost Share Resolutions for fiscal year 2027 dredging, revision to the Dare County Board of Commissioners list of meeting dates, the 2026 Dare County Register of Deeds records and retention and disposition schedule, the Dare County Schools Lottery Repair and Renovation Fund distribution request, and the Health and Human Services Public Health Division Medicaid Managed Care Budget Amendment.
Excuse me. Okay, there's a motion on the floor by the Vice Chair to adopt the consent agenda as presented. Is there a second? Second. Second by Commissioner Balance. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Next is item 16, your board appointments. First, you have the Oregon Inlet Task Force. Russ King has resigned from the Oregon Inlet Task Force, and the task force recommends that Tammy Tobin be appointed to fill that vacancy.
Motion to approve.
There's a motion on the floor by the Vice Chair. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Balance. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Next is your Veterans Advisory Council. Richard Probst and Lisa Lloyd have terms expiring this month, and the council recommends their reappointment.
So moved.
Motion on the board by Commissioner Balance, seconded by Commissioner Burris. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
The next is the Virginia Tillett Community Center. Jonathan DeLucia resigned from the Virginia Tillett Community Center Advisory Board. The nominating committee at the Virginia S. Tillett Community Center Advisory Board recommends the nomination of Marie DeGraff Paul to fill the seat formerly held by Jonathan DeLucia.
Motion to approve.
Motion on the floor by the Vice Chair to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Bateman, excuse me. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Next is the Zoning Board of Adjustment. The terms of Edward Mann Jr. and Anna Creef expire this month. Anna Creef wishes to be reappointed. Edward Mann does not wish to be reappointed. The Zoning Board of Adjustment does not have a recommendation for Mr. Mann's replacement at this time.
Guess we'll hold off until we hear.
You want to reappoint Anna Creef?
Pardon?
Motion to reappoint Anna Creed.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
I'd like to have the Board of Adjustment come back with the next meeting, next commissioner meeting with a recommendation.
Yep.
There's one board we can't have people missing on.
We have, does no one apply for it?
I'm sorry?
Do we have nobody who's applied for it at all?
Yeah, there's applications in your packet.
Yeah, an application's in your packet.
But we don't
All
have a
right,
recommendation. Okay.
We moving on.
Well, we got to vote on
On Creef.
Creef.
Yeah.
Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Next are your upcoming board.
Hold on a minute. I'm sorry, I missed something. Let's go back to the Veterans Advisory. I know we made that appointment. I believe we have an alternate vacancy on that board. Is that correct, clerk? If that's the case, I'd like to add Michael Wagner, and we've got an application from him on that as the alternate on that board. So I'll make that motion to add Michael Wagner as the alternate because that spot is vacant at this time.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Commissioner Balance. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you.
And that leads us to the upcoming board and committee appointments. In June, you have the College of the Albemarle Board of Trustees with one term expiring, the Extraterritorial Jurisdiction District Town of Nags Head with one term expiring, the Pheasant Center Advisory Board with 6 terms expiring, the Hatteras Community Center Board with 2 terms expiring, the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council with 4 terms expiring, the Library Board with 1 term expiring, the Mans Harbor Community Center Board with 2 terms expiring, the Northeastern Workforce Development Board with 1 term expiring, the Roanoke Island Community Center Board with 2 terms expiring, the Transportation Advisory Board with 3 terms expiring, the Waterways Commission with 4 terms expiring. Then in July, you have the Airport Authority with 1 term expiring, the Game and Wildlife Commission with 4 terms expiring, and the Wanchese Community Center Advisory Board with 2 terms expiring. And then in August, the ABC Board has 2 terms expiring, and the Virginia S. Tillett Community Center has 4 terms expiring. And that would be your agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, County Manager. That brings us to item 17, Commissioner's business, County Manager's business. Do you have anything else for us today?
Yes, sir. A couple of things. One is we've been asked to support a letter. The Surfrider Foundation, the Southern Environmental Law Center, the North Carolina Coastal Federation, the Coalition to Protect America's National Parks, the NC Beach Buggy Association, and the National Parks Conservation Association sent a letter requesting an appropriation from the federal government of $15 million to remove threatened structures from the lands of the parks here in North Carolina. And they've asked us if we would be willing to join in support of that letter and notify our congressional delegations that we support their request or make that request. And so I told them I would bring that before you and see if you would support that, and if you would, then we would contact our congressional delegation and make that request.
Is that 15 million is to remove, so you're talking about moving structures that are in danger of falling?
It is a long letter, and it talks about how important it is and how important the beach is, but it says $15 million from the Land and Water Conservation Fund for use by the National Park Service to restore, protect the Cape Hatteras National Seashore, or from any other fund that can properly be used for that purpose. And then it goes on to talk about the erosion and the collapse of the houses and the impact to the parks, et cetera.
I would make a motion to support that letter.
Okay, there's a motion. There's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Ballas to support that letter. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by the Vice Chair. Floor is open for discussion. Hearing none, those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Next, just an update and a little bit of good news. We've been working and talking about FEMA now for I don't know how many meetings in a row trying to get our FEMA funding available for the Buxton project. And Dustin and Matt and I have worked and called and talked and met and done all we can do with everybody we can get. We called our congressional delegation and asked them to help us. I was able to find a contact at FEMA and got in contact with her to get her to try to help us. And then Norma Houston, you all know Norma, and Dave Clausen, they both work with the Association of County Commissioners as a part of the Helene cleanup out west and have some connections with some FEMA people out there. And we asked them to help us as well, and they did. And all of that work seems to have come to fruition last week. It moved through 3 or 4 or 5 stages of the FEMA process yesterday or last week, and it's in the final stage of that process now, which is the large project review. The large project review stage is the last stage that it has to go through before it goes to Congress. It goes to Congress just as a notification, a 3-day notification to Congress. Again, it lasts 3 days. They don't have to act, don't have to do anything. They just have to be notified. And at that point, the funds get obligated. And so we're working now to see if we can speed up the process to get it through the large project review. We're told that can last anywhere from a few days to multiple weeks. We're going to try to get it in the few day category. If we can get that out of the way, then I'm told that the next step would be, again, it sits in Congress for 3 days, and after that 3 days expires, FEMA then obligates the money. And what does that mean to us? It means that the money's there, the money's obligated, and any other time we'd say that means we would get the money. Our only risk of not getting the money is if something in the White House changed and they decided they just weren't paying obligated funds anymore, and nobody can control that. So again, Obligation is the key metric, and we're waiting to get there, but it seems like that is now going to be imminent here shortly. And
Cautiously optimistic.
yeah, cautious, more optimistic than we've been. Sweat and nights and, and angst and stress they had putting on the A250 celebration. If you went, it was a beautiful day. It was a super event. I can't say enough good things. They had a ringer thrown through them about halfway through and had to start all over again. So instead of having this 3 or 4 month window where we planned it, you wound up having a month or a month and a half to plan it because of some things that happened and that we couldn't control. And so kudos to you and to your staff, and thank you for all your hard work for doing that. A great success. Appreciate it. And that's all that I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, County Manager. Public Information Officer, Ms. Hester, do you have anything for us?
To follow up on that, I just want to, there were a lot of people that worked on that event, and surely we were leading it, but Carl Cornute chaired it. There were a lot of county departments that backed us up, particularly Public Works, the Sheriff's Office, but others. I mean, there was just, the town of Manio and Roanoke Island Festival Park, they were great partners at the last minute. They came together. And we had sponsors that we worked hard to get sponsors for the event and had probably about $47,000 in sponsorship. So many thanks to the businesses that supported us that way. And then, of course, the volunteers. There were a lot of volunteers, so.
And everybody looked like everybody that was volunteering was having a blast.
Yeah, I think
everybody
they
was
were.
smiling and laughing and joking with each other. It was a great time.
Yeah, I think it was too. And thanks to those of y'all who were able to be there. And the A250 is not over. It's going to go all year. So, we've got that online map where we still have a lot of people participating in that, and that'll only go up this summer. And then there are a lot of businesses and organizations that have events planned where they'll brand it as an A250 event. So we're not done. That was our big event, but we'll continue to celebrate through the end of the year, our country's 250th anniversary. So, and thank you all too for supporting it, because you all, of course, were committed to that and provide funding. So thank you. We're glad it's done. Focus on other things now.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Thank you.
Finance Director, Matt, do you have anything else for us?
I'll just say that you approved a resolution that had a lot of flexibility in it. There's one scenario where we would move forward with some debt for beach nourishment in advance of the June meeting, and if that's the scenario that we end up taking, we'll just keep you posted through email on that progress. So.
All right. Thank you very much. That moves us into Commissioner's business. And Commissioner Creef, would you kick that off for us, please?
Sure. Oh, goodness gracious, that thing's stuck. Dorothy, just start off by saying excellent job with the Dare 250 thing. Nobody lost their catalytic converters. I was underneath of a truck with chalk, drawing the chalk lines for the parking, and some guy ran over there because I was underneath of his truck. But, yeah, anyway, that was a great event. I really enjoyed it, and just excellent job to everybody involved. It was really special, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. Another thing, Manio Middle School kicks off their playoffs tonight for baseball. We beat First Flight the other night. My boy had a home run, 2-run homer when they were down 3-4. So that was good. So they're going to kick it off tonight at 5 o'clock. So please go down there and support your local middle school. A couple big things at the state level. Obviously, we got 2 Senate bills that have been introduced by Senator Hanig, Sanderson, Lazara, and Brinson, one being 1,099, which is repealing the permanent structure ban. So obviously, if you live in Hatteras area, that is a huge bill. Please contact all your local representatives and tell them that you support Senate Bill 1099, because if we can get that permanent structure ban repealed from CAMA, we can really start to make some serious progress down there in repairing our shoreline and save us a lot of money in the future. The other big one is Senate Bill 1065, introduced by the same people, which is there's a study going on that was allocated in 2021 for data collection on our fishing harvest, commercial and recreational. And the bill that is proposed would make it to where the Marine Fisheries Board cannot pass any more regulations until that study is finished. And obviously, coming up in this short session, we're all worried about another trawl ban coming into question, and certainly other issues coming up like blue crab stock assessments and numerous other things Marine Fisheries has got in the works. If this bill were to pass, it would certainly halt any kind of detrimental laws or regulations coming on our fishermen here in Dare County. So that's a big one as well, certainly for me and other in our fishing communities. Other than that, May 25th is Memorial Day. You know, I always go back to that Saving Private Ryan movie in the very end when he tells him, you know, earn this life. You know, that resonates with me, and to think of how many servicemen and women have died in combat, over 12 wars and 200 conflicts in the history of this country. 11,000 North Carolina residents have given their lives in combat. So just for the younger generation, and a lot of people take for granted every day the life that we live here in this country. So obviously go thank all your veterans and enjoy Memorial Day off, but remember what happened. To go along with that, May 10th is Confederate Memorial Day in the state of North Carolina. Obviously, as controversial of an issue as that is, still 35,170 North Carolinians gave their lives in that war. 3-1 over all the other wars combined. Massive loss, 19% of the male population served in that war. So I honor their sacrifice as well. Other than that, enjoy the weather. Tourism season's ramping up, so just stay safe out there on the roads, and everybody be mindful of all our crosswalks. We don't need any more of those.
Thank you, Commissioner Creef. Commissioner Bateman, how about you next?
Sir, yeah, Dorothy, I had a good time at the 250, and I saw Carrie Boyce out there from Roanoke Island. She did a great job in coordinating with everybody, so had a wonderful time. Garage Band Charities, I had the classic car this weekend. They raised $266,000 to give back to charities.
Wow.
And then the Outer Banks. It's phenomenal what they do, and they input, you know, they eat at their restaurants, they spend their money. Very, very good cause. And we thank all they do here. I went to the 3 DOT in Rodanthe, Buxton, and then at Jeanette's Pier. Very informational meeting put on by the Department of Transportation concerning Highway 12. We definitely have a problem there. I will tell you that I was forwarded a article, and I believe it was one of our governors back in 1955 came down here and attended the Pirates Jamboree. And he also toured the Outer Banks. He went from Corova to Hatteras. And the number one problem he addressed then was beach erosion and how he was going to do something about it. Now, that was in 1955. That was 71 years ago. And we're still talking about it. So that's kind of ironic that we're still in the same boat we were 70-some years ago. That's crazy. The other thing I had, at that beach, at that sand meeting, a lady sent me some photos, and Merlot Beach, we've lost houses there, of course, and there's still pilings from the houses that are on the ocean front. Is there anything that we should be doing about that? Is the bill that, the resolution you just asked earlier, would that address that and cleaning those pilings up? Is that the Park Service problem? Whose problem is that?
I guess it's everybody's problem.
It's definitely a safety
So
problem.
there's the legal answer, it's the homeowner's problem. The next answer is it's the Park Service's problem because it's in the park. And then the third answer is, I mean, it's our economy's problem, and so I don't know who deals with it, but I didn't know they were still there. I know we had some issues with some other debris that I think the Park Service had removed, but I wasn't aware that there were still pallets.
Well, they're there.
Again, we haven't removed any, the stuff that we're removing in Buxton is being removed by us because it's required under the terms of our permit that we can't cover it up with the beach nourishment sand. So we're having to remove the pilings, the old septic tanks, the swimming pool remnants, all that stuff that's in the zone where we're gonna do the nourishment projects. But we haven't removed debris from the beaches in other places as of yet, so.
Okay. The other thing I had, the Kratom bill that Health and Human Services addressed and passed, are you bringing that to us?
I'll ask you that question. I mean, the Health and Human Services, and Sheila, you correct me if I'm wrong, they've adopted a health rule now that addresses that. And so if you violate that rule, then you've violated that, and whatever enforcement mechanism they have, they have. But so I'm not doing anything else unless you ask us to.
The thought process, and clarify if I'm wrong, Sheila, I think to give it teeth for the Sheriff's Department to be enforced, it has to come through us to be an ordinance. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right, we discussed with Jeff Derringer that at this point, as a public health rule, they cannot do anything unless it were to be an ordinance. And he said if the county wanted to adopt what we adopted as public health rule as an ordinance, then they could follow up. Otherwise, we have started the education with the different vendors and shops that sell Kratom. And we can go through a process in public health if someone violates the rule by going before the magistrate and trying to get charged. But it would have more teeth if the Sheriff's Department had some enforcement behind it versus us trying to do it as public health employees. So, but the only way to do that is to go through, I guess, it becoming an ordinance.
Right. So if we could, maybe could we put that on the agenda so that our board can discuss this?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Are we legally allowed to do that, Bobby?
I think we are, but we talked with the school government at some length, and they suggested that there are two approaches. There's pros and cons of each approach, and you start with the approach that we've started with. But their advice was that, yeah, you have the authority probably to do that. The key metric's going to be enforcement. It's going to be difficult, but.
Right. And Sheila, while you're up here, and don't y'all laugh at me now, but I've had last week 2 of their people in Dare County have called me and asked me, what has the county done on the regulation of hermit crabs? And hermit crabs being able to be stored and sold in Dare County. They have been told by a health individual from the health department that they could not store them the way they've been storing them for 100 years, which is just in a cage. Now they have to have them in an aquarium. They have to have certain temperature lights and other stuff. Do you know anything about that?
I do not, so I'd be happy to look into this and do some research.
could,
I saw
please.
some chatter on Facebook about that and, about the humane keeping of hermit crabs, but I'm not sure legislatively or public
Don't laugh,
health
Bobby.
rule-wise.
I'm serious.
I
said don't laugh at me.
Is this a state
So
thing?
I will do some research and follow up with everybody. Happy to do that.
The phone calls we get, right?
That's all I got, y'all.
Hello. Vice Chairman House.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Want to start off with the First Flight Society did hold the Wilbur Wright birthday party at the Jeanette's Pier on April 16th, and it was very well presented. Tons of people there. Actually, the biggest turnout they've ever had for Wilbur Wright's birthday, and looking forward to working with them and also with a lot of the county nonprofits and getting together, and also with the municipalities and starting to talk about the 125th anniversary, which is coming up shortly, of the anniversary of flight. So good things are happening there and a lot of excitement going on. To reinforce what everybody else is saying, the A250 DARE committee to put the spectacular together was outstanding. It really was. All of the volunteers, all the sponsors, all the people on the committee who worked tirelessly, and it definitely told a story throughout the whole day that everybody that was there working that event was cheerful. They were happy to be there and happy and willing to serve. All the vendors that were there were just phenomenal. And the music was outstanding. Great celebration there. And I do want to thank my fellow commissioners, Irvin Bateman, Mary Ellen Balance, and Carson Creek for being there. Also, along with County Manager was there as well. And we were trying to get him up and dancing, but he wouldn't do it. Also wanted to reach out and also reach out and give thanks to Representative Kidwell, who was also in attendance, and also Senator Bobby Haney. And they were both there, and they both donated challenge coins from each of their offices to the time capsule. And they also had a flag, North Carolina State flag, that was flown over the General Assembly and also donated to the time capsule. And that was just a wonderful event. And Dorothy, like I said, I wish you would definitely extend my personal thanks to the A250 committee for doing that. It was an outstanding event. And I do believe we have a pet of the week.
Our pet of the week this week is Daffodil. Daffodil is a little over a year old and absolutely full of life. This playful girl is always ready to turn anything into a toy and will happily keep you entertained with her silly antics. When she's not busy playing, she's right by your side, soaking up all the attention she can get. To adopt Daffodil or foster one of our other animals, come visit us Monday through Friday at our shelter located in Manio. For more information, visit our website at obxspca.org or visit our OBXSPCA Facebook page.
So definitely take a trip out there and look at Daffodil, and hopefully you'll fall in love and give her a forever home. And also you can look at the other animals that are there too, and hopefully offer them a forever home. I'm sure they would love to have all of their animals adopted and let you take them home with all of them. But let's go out there and see what you can do. And those precious animals do need a home and someone to give you a bunch of unconditional love. We are rolling into the summer season. Memorial Day weekend's coming up real quickly. And everybody stay safe. Hopefully the temperature is getting back warmer now. It's going to stay that way. So everybody be safe and have a happy summer. And thank you very much.
Commissioner Balance.
Just want to reiterate a little bit on what Brian was saying of all the work that was done on the FUD site, just tremendous. And there's like 3,000 active FUD sites right now, and Buxton still remains in the top 5. So just really encouraged by the continued support of getting that area cleaned up. The waterways meeting, we have, with the government shutdown and the Coast Guard being out of whack, we've got a couple buoys in Hatteras Inlet, so been trying to push to see if we can get that done, but unfortunately it looks like we're just going to have to wait till they get that done, but we're on it and keeping an eye out. I went to the graduation for the paramedics, so just shout out to Jenny Collins for seeing an opportunity to promote from within and support some paramedics that are already in our system to get them and create that, that channel up, working up towards, and partnering with Currituck County on that as well. So it's really great to see the Dare and Currituck working together to solve those issues. And shout out to the 30-year pins. That's pretty incredible. That's just congratulations. And to kind of little piggyback on what Carson was saying about the bills, currently there's 3, the Senate has been very busy. There's 3 bills on fishing, 2 on hardened structures, 1 on bridge funding, 9 on education, and over in the House, they've got 3 that affect our education. So our legislators are working hard, and I feel like I've said this several times. For the first time, I think in a long time, Dare County has, with the issues that we have more momentum going forward and just really pushing, and I hope that that continues. I did finally got over to tour the community care clinic and meet Lynn Jenkins and John Winley, and it's amazing over there what they're doing. It's such a great asset to our community to be able to provide those services. The NCFA is doing a legislative day on May 12th for fishing to try to keep that fishing momentum going and passing some legislation that'll give our fishermen some relief. And finally, I'm going to try to challenge Dustin a little bit on the Thrive OBX, but I don't know if I can do as many steps as him. But yesterday, I have a picture. I screenshot it. I was second until about 8:30 in the morning. I was in second place. But if you're not doing the Thrive OBX, Sheila, I saw your name on there too. And Bobby, you need to step it up a little bit. But it's really fun because I've been trying to get back into walking, and it worked because I signed up for that with Skylar helped me get it on my phone, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can do 500 more steps. It's just down the street, and I ended up walking more. So thank you to Thrive OBX for getting me off of my boycott of exercise, and I'm going to see if I can't get back in the swing. So thank you. That's all I have. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Burris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to echo, thanks to Ms. Hester, all you guys do in that office. Obviously, everybody I've heard from, I had a scheduling conflict, was out of town coaching youth basketball. So I was unable to attend the event, but everybody I've heard from said it was fantastic and they had a good time. Matt, your office, thank you guys for all the hard work on the budget. I know this is a very busy time of year for you guys, and you guys go the extra mile. So thank you guys for that. The Senate bills, very encouraging. I'm glad to see those. I think, like Commissioner Creef said, Commissioner Balance, if we could reach out, contact people and let them know, send an email, make a phone call to the office, just try and let everybody know how much you support those efforts. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot. And I did see this weekend was great to see all the old cars and the different cars out, the sports cars. And, I'm not much of a mechanic, but I do enjoy seeing those cars out on the roads and all the people that event brings. I ate out a couple times at a few restaurants, and it seemed like everybody was on a waiting list. So maybe summer's officially kicking off here, and that's great for the local economy. So I'm glad to see that. And I want to thank those fellows with the garage, with the get together there for the cars, for doing that, and then all the money that they donate back to the community. That's fantastic. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Burris. I have one other item I'd like to present today.
And that is some more recognition for our clerk. And May the 3rd through the 9th is proclamation recognizing professional clerks throughout the state to boards of county commissioners week. And I'd like to present the proclamation, if you'll read it, County Manager, so that we can vote on it.
Whereas the role of the clerk to the Board of County Commissioners is crucial for maintaining an informed community and facilitating effective local governance through communication among citizens, government bodies, and administrative departments. And whereas the position of clerk, one of the oldest in local government, continues to be essential as the official record keepers of their counties with responsibilities that are deeply rooted in history. And whereas North Carolina General Statutes 153A 111 requires every Board of County Commissioners to appoint or designate a clerk to the board to perform any duties that may be required by law or the Board of Commissioners, including but not limited to the preparation, filing, and protection of local government records, which are vital for accountability and transparency. And whereas clerks enhance their professional skills through active participation in the North Carolina Association of County Clerks to Board of Commissioners, which in partnership with the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill School of Government and the International Municipal Court and the International Institute of Municipal Clerks, offers nationally recognized certification programs and continuous professional education. And whereas clerks, through their dedication to professional development, not only improve the efficacy of their offices, but also bring positive recognition to their counties by participating in advanced education and obtaining professional-related certifications. Now therefore be it claimed by the Dare County Board of Commissioners that May 3 through 9, 2026 will be recognized as Professional Clerks to the Boards of County Commissioners Week in Dare County, and extends its appreciation to our clerk, Skylar Foley, and to the deputy clerk, if there is one, and to all county clerks and deputy clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the county they represent. The 4th day of May 2026.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to second your motion for this adoption.
Thank you very much. Any comments? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you very much.
Does this mean that she gets a whole week off?
That's up to y'all. I need a motion to adjourn until June the 9th.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Balance. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by the Vice Chair. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.